the way I looked at it, I'm gonna make the biggest gamble of my life, and I'm betting on me, and I'm betting on my ability to drive this company forward. So I'm hedging my future, my 401k, and all the money that I stacked up in there over the years. I'm gonna go bet on that, and I'm gonna use that money to start this company up. And that's what opened up the path for me to go do what I needed to do and build the momentum that we have today.
Welcome to part 2 of Steve Cundy's interview. If you missed part 1, you can click the card up in the top corner. In this video, we talk about career, transitioning out of the military, starting your own business, and much more. Without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Who was Steve Cundy in high school, and why did you decide to join the military?
Well, that's a fantastic question, and one that has many twists and turns and ups and downs. Being in a military family, my parents, they moved around a lot, and for me to find my identity, I think I've been challenged in the world and trying to make the world better and probably irritate my parents from the time I came out of my mom's belly. And as I found a way to integrate with the world, I was always a class clown. If we moved to a different school, I'd be the naughty kid who was giving my teachers a heck of a time, trying to be funny, and I'm sure I was because I saw the teachers smirking, but then getting bounced to the principal's office. As I went through school, I actually wondered at times, am I smart? Do I really have what it takes? And it's really interesting as you look back through life and you look at how life came to be. You were smart all along. You probably weren't challenged, and you were trying to fit and adapt to the surroundings that you were in. And my go-to was to be the class clown, be the naughty kid. And if I got kicked out of class, I got kicked out of class. I'm sure I gave my mom and dad plenty of gray hair. And there was a reoccurring theme with all my teachers. He has all of his potential if he could just be more like the rest of the kids. And you look back, and I say, well, I didn't want to be like the rest of the kids. I was meant to do something different in life, but I was absolutely clueless into what that may be. So I'm the guy that did just enough to make sure that I could play sports. I not so proudly graduated towards the bottom of my class, and I knew that I wasn't ready for college if I was even capable of going and completing college. So to me, it was like the military was my only option because the rest of the prospects looked dim. And I didn't have mom and dad that went to college. I didn't have mom and dads who were professionals. They were limited in their point of view of the world, and I didn't like the point of view of the world, but I had no idea what the rest of the world would bring. And I remember they told me I should join the Air Force. Good food, you could possibly get an education in there, you're gonna have a job skill when you come out. So, like that kid that I was, I did the exact opposite. Became an airborne ranger, jumped out of planes and blew stuff up because my recruiter said, hey, you're pretty good in sports, I think you'd be a good ranger. Showed me a quick video, I'm like, all right, that'll irritate my parents. So that's how I came to pick my MOS and the job that I went after in the Army.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it sounds like a lot of the other stories you hear. I mean, for myself too, I was sort of in that same lane. But how do you think the military made you better in, growing up that way and going against the norm and then doing what you did while you were in the military? How did that get you better in life?
When I look back at the military, I didn't take that path of conformity, discipline. I've never been the guy that's going to fall into that, and the military was no exception. I do recall, a quick story. When I was in basic training, I missed my girlfriend, missed my mom, and I missed my mommy big time. And there was a PX about a mile down the road, and I would have my buddies cover for me, and I'd run down to the PX, use the phone, and I'd buy a bunch of contraband, park it in the wood line. Little did I know that I was already an entrepreneur back then, but I did get caught, and I got my first Article 15, so I spent time in basic training on extra KP, buffing floors, and while other buddies were shining shoes, I was out there cleaning the barracks. And that was kind of setting a tone for who I'd become in the military. I like to say that I loved America so much that I was more than willing to get those Article 15s and pull extra duty, make sure those floors were shined, and all the garbage in the compound was always picked up because it seemed to be a trend that I was always going after. But the one major thing that I took away, even though I wasn't really cut out for the discipline and structure of the military, is being a ranger. Just a young guy, 18 years old, you're jumping on planes and you're looking up to all these demigods, these rangers that have been there and done that, and you're learning from them. Contingency planning, inability to understand, here's your op order, here's your mission, and when you jump out of that plane, they drop you in the wrong spot, you fast up out of that helicopter, and you're stuck in concertina wire because they dropped you in the wrong spot. You have to adapt and overcome, and the ability to adapt and overcome and perpetually change on the fly, that was something that I could resonate with, even though I didn't know it at the time, and something that I pulled forward. The leaders that you bump into, they were bigger than life, and you got to see these folks in action, their toughness, their mental toughness, their emotional toughness, their physical toughness, and they just set a standard so high, you never wanted to let them down. And that was something else that I could resonate with, because you didn't want to let them down. It was team. It was all about accomplishing a mission, adapt and overcome, and get it done. And that's probably the biggest takeaway that I take away from the military my whole career. Even though I bucked the go shine your shoes, or don't stay out too late and cause trouble, make sure you're back at certain times, I probably broke all those rules along the way. But I took a lot of really good lessons out of that helped me in my professional world: teamwork, leadership, and things that you don't even know and you're taking for granted at the time that are going to totally shape and guide your life going forward. That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing.
Transitioning out of the military, what was that process like for you? Because it's a change of speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going from we to I. You're getting out, and now you got to support yourself, find a career, and do all that stuff. So what was your transition like when you got out of the military?
It was scary. I remember out processing. This was back in '99. There's a lot more services available to veterans today, but back then, it's like if I don't go out and go to college, what do I do? And I saw my prospects of these jobs that were low paying, awful. I was scared. I didn't know how to go and sign up for college. I was scared of college. Didn't think I was capable of even going to college and being successful. I was lost. I was lonely. I came back to Wisconsin. I was out in Fort Lewis, Washington, and I was lost. And I think I stayed lost. I remember working jobs that I hated while I was going to school. So for me, I put that stake in the ground. It was college or bust. 4 years in the Army for 4 years at college, and come hell or high water, I was going to get it done. But that whole process of going through and getting out the other side, I felt unsupported. And just like we talked about earlier, you go in a certain way, you get structure, you get an identity, you come out the other end, you lose that structure, you lose that identity. I went through that process. I didn't know who I was. Heck, I probably didn't even know who I was while I was in the military. But getting out, it just exacerbated that lack of identity. And then 911 hit, I wasn't going to go back in, but then you start to lose friends, coming back, not coming back, and all of this it was a scary part of my life, and I felt alone. Even though I had family support, it's hard to relate to that idea that even though you have family and people that care about you, you're still lost and alone. So that's how I felt transitioning out. And I also felt like I was competing against time. I lost 4 years in the military, so now I'm out in the professional world going to college with people that are 4 or 5 years younger than I am, and I've got to catch up to the people that are 4 or 5 years ahead of me. And that was one of my driving ambitions, to take the corporate world by storm and always be reaching for that next rung on the ladder, never settle for what it was. It was errant. I wouldn't say that it was always appropriate, but going back to that mission, I'm going to climb the corporate ladder and I will catch my peers and I will pass them up. So that was a competitive nature in me. But it's like a pinball in a machine. You're bouncing all over, and the path that I took was so zigzagged. When you look back in hindsight, that right path was right there, but you couldn't see it because you didn't know any better. You're ignorant, uninformed, and you've got to go figure it out. And the teachers that were teaching me along the way, they all came in time because I didn't even know what teachers to look for.
Sure. At what point did you find your identity and you were like, this is where I'm going?
When I started Tuatara, and that was 20 months ago, because up until that point, I was going through corporate America as a change agent, always fixing, always improving something that was broken out there, being promoted along the way, getting more responsibility, bigger teams, new problems to solve. And I remember sitting down with a mentor of mine, and I told him I wanted to go start my own company. He's like, you just need to go buy something, Steve, you're a fixer. You need to go out and fix, you're an operational guy. That's what you need to do. And I had a light bulb go off. I look back the last 20 years of my career, I realized that's not who I am. It was a hazard of the occupation. I didn't know any better. I don't want to fix anymore in the sense of, here's the company you work at, go fix the company. I'd love to fix problems, throughout the world and other companies, but I want to go out there and build something. So when we look at Tuatara and Taskforce Uplift, it was a chance to go out there and build and stop fixing. So you get that it's just such a different dynamic, different feeling. That's where I realized who I was and who I was meant to be all along. And everything else was just lessons learned, and I had to have the light bulb go off in my own way, but it was an inflection point of a mentor saying, go buy a company, fix it, grow it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not what I want to do. And lo and behold, it wasn't what I wanted to do. I'm right where I belong right now. Path less traveled, and not exactly linear to get there, but that's where I am.
That's awesome. So you mentioned mentors a few times, and I think when you transition out of the military, that's also an important factor a lot of us miss is why not talk to somebody who's done it before, get out there and engage with some of these people. How important have those mentors been to you, and what would you recommend a veteran transitioning out do to find one that matches what they want to do?
What I would say is I've had mentors throughout, and when I think about Taskforce Uplift and what we created, it really is the guidepost, the simplified guidepost. That path I took, I would never want to recommend that to anybody. But if I take the value and the good out of that, well, here's that straight line. It really is the foundational elements of what Taskforce Uplift is aimed to be. And bringing in those mentors, remember the guy that got me my first job, my uncle along the way, take me to all the Brewer games when I was having problems at home. Going into the military, some of the leaders that you had in there that you didn't really realize they were mentoring you, they were smacking you all around in the proverbial way. Then you get out and you bump into the professional world. These guideposts have been there all along, but I didn't go out and identify them deliberately. What I would love to do and what I would recommend is find a deliberate mentor. If you're lost, what am I lost? What am I seeking? And if you don't know what you're seeking because you're that lost, who can you trust? And then keep on finding the next person, because you're going to learn something from every one of those mentors that's different than the next person you talk to. And when you put them all together, they're the game changers.
That's great. And there's so much truth to it as well. So you started your own company. What was that process like for you? Because that's a leap of faith. You're taking a risk to go out there and do something on your own. So what was that process like? Did you have to go get funding, or how did you get on your feet and get moving?
Yeah, it was a big leap of faith. It was COVID. I was definitely having problems at the company I was at, and it wasn't problems with the company that the company was bringing on. There were problems with who I wanted to be, what I wanted to be doing, and I just wasn't happy doing what I was doing there. So middle of COVID, I'm like, now's the time. It's time to find a different way and just go out there and get it. So yeah, if you don't have a bunch of cash stacked up in the bank, you have to use other less conventional methods. And for me, I used a program called the ROBS funding, where I tapped in my 401k, converted some of the 401 into revenue or money to fund the startup. And the way I looked at it, I'm going to make the biggest gamble of my life, and I'm betting on me, and I'm betting on my ability to drive this company forward. So I'm hedging my future, my 401k, and all the money that I stacked up in there over the years. I'm going to go bet on that, and I'm going to use that money to start this company up. And that's what opened up the path for me to go do what I needed to do and build the momentum that we have today.
I love that. What are some of the challenges that you've faced so far in your business?
Well, one of the things I've been through, my undergrad's business oriented. I have an executive MBA from UW Milwaukee, so don't judge me on this one. But I would say everything you learn inside the classroom, what you thought you knew, and what it actually takes to start a company, it's not taught in school. It really isn't, for whatever reason. Going out there, taking that leap, filling out all the paperwork, becoming a veteran-owned organization, and then to even compound it, now you're going to do it in the nonprofit sector. Guess what? That wasn't an MBA 101 either. So all that education, you just have to make that leap. And what I'm pushing and challenging other colleges to do is make it more practical. It's great that you need some of the basics like finance, strategy, accounting, and all that, but here's the practicality, and here's what it takes to actually go through the tangible paperwork you need to file a company, get it launched, where to get the funding, where the startup funds are going to do, how you're going to form your organization, and ultimately defining your target market. So there's some correlations of the things you learn throughout formal education, but I would say the biggest thing, all of this background in business, all the background in education in business,
It doesn't match the school of hard knocks.
I wouldn't say that it did. I mean, I've been learning a lot. I've learned probably more in the last 20 months than I learned in 20 years prior. It's amazing. It's super cool. It's empowering. It's invigorating. It's energizing. A little scary at times, but I wouldn't change it for anything. And when you look back, you get sold on the American dream. You're going to come back from the military. You're going to go get your picket house or picket fence house with 4-car garage. You're going to have 2.5 kids. You're going to have lovely husband or lovely wife, whatever it may be. I don't look at that as the American dream. I look at the American dream that's the American dysfunction. You can take all that. I mean, I'm not saying that stuff's all bad, but the American dream is really getting out there, starting your own company, and realizing the benefits of the capitalistic world in which we live. And if you really want to advance forward and change the past, get out there and start your own company. And it doesn't matter what you're going after or why, but the freedom of America is right there. And when you look at where all the money's tied up in America these days, it usually goes back to a company. So I encourage veterans, non-veterans, get out there, and even though it's scary, find out how to make it possible. What are you passionate about? What are you good at? And how do you convert that skill or passion that you have into something that you love to do while you can make money and turn that into a benefit for you and your family? It's a way to advance generations and really break some of the cycles that we have with the working class. My family has been working class for generations. I was the first one to go through college in my family, and it just changed the landscape. And I've got brothers and sisters, one's a doctor, one's a nurse, the other one's a systems engineer. Did I have some hand in that? I like to think that I did, because I made all the mistakes out in front to hopefully make it easier for them to get out there and get after it.
Absolutely. Still going against the grain, right?
Still going against the grain. I'm not the smartest guy, but I work hard.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I love that story. And so veterans, if there's a veteran out there and he's looking, or she is looking to become an entrepreneur, what advice would you have them to get started? We talked about mentors earlier. That's always a great one to talk to some people in the space. But from what you learned over the last 2 years, what advice, since you started your company, what advice would you have for that veteran?
Best advice I can give, there are a lot of resources out there. They're overwhelming, they're complicated. And going back to being lost, there's college benefits, there's other veteran benefits available, but there's no easy button to say, here's who I am, here are my questions, how can I get easy answers without being overwhelmed? Because oftentimes veterans, including myself, you feel that pressure, you feel ignorant, you don't feel like you're gonna be able to ask smart questions, you're overwhelmed with information, and does it pertain to you or not, you just abort. And I would say the same thing happened to me when I was starting my own company with SBA, benefits through the VA, all the different organizations out there. It's overcomplicated, it's scary, and I just pressed the abort button. So if I could tie all this back into, these are wonderful resources, but they're overwhelming when you make that leap and you've got to get to something tangible quickly. It goes back to mentorship. Find a veteran that's already done it. They are going to give you the cliff notes to your success path, and they're not going to give you everything perfectly, but from their point of view, here's what I've learned, here's where I missed, here's where I hit. Take the hit, avoid the miss, put that in, talk to another one, you put a few of those together, you can put your battle plan together. That is what I would recommend, rather than going out there and hitting the SBA and what benefits, who's going to give me money, how am I going to get started. Make it simple. Go talk to some people that have been there and done that, because the wealth of information and knowledge that they have for having gone and having the courage to take that leap, hell, the best benefit is probably going to be for all the things they did wrong. Make sure you don't do it again.
Yeah, exactly. So did you do a lot of the work yourself, or did you have people to delegate it to, or did you just get your nose in there and just get it done?
I would say it's a little bit of both. I had a couple other guys that made the leap with me, and we offset. So I bring something to the table they don't, and they bring something to the table that I don't. And I knew very clearly, because these folks have worked with me for many years, what that element looked like and how we need to band together to win. And then added a few more components pretty quickly. So being able to understand where you've got to roll up your sleeves and get dirty, the hats that you're going to have to wear, there's a lot of them, and you've got to lead by example and not ask people to do something you're not willing to do yourself. So being able to delegate, but also be right there beside them, supporting them as you go, because it's a lot. You go from having an established organization where you're a cog in the wheel to you're not an established organization and you're the cogs, and you need all those cogs to make the wheel spin true. That's what you have to do. So I would say it's a combination of leading the way, get out there, get dirty, jump in the trenches, roll up your sleeves, and put in those extra hours. And don't ask that of the people that report into you. Be willing to go that extra mile and make it clear that what you're doing is not the expectation that you have of them, because there's different what's in it for them. And if you're out there and you're the CEO, you're the leader, you have different skin in the game than they do. So make sure that you're being very deliberate on what that is and what the expectations are, because I wouldn't want people to do what I'm doing. I want people to do what's expected of them, so they feel invigorated, they feel empowered, and they feel like they're living their best life, and every day they come to work, they're happy to do so. They're not going to be happy to do what I do. I'm happy for other reasons, and I want to make sure that mix is right. So combination of leadership, ability to get dirty, and effective delegation, because without them, Tuatara wouldn't be what it is today. It would just be me out there beating my head against the wall, hoping, praying, wishing, and thinking that maybe some goodwill will come my way. That's not a good way to run a company or build a company or start a company. You get by with the help of your friends and teamwork.
That's awesome, man. What was it like to get your first customer? Like, what'd you have to do to get your first customer? And then when you landed that customer, what was that feeling like?
I would say the most humbling thing that when you take that leap and you start your own company is you have a reputation, you have relationships, and you're naive. You're thinking that just because you have these relationships and you are attached to these other companies, that this brand new brand, this brand new entity, this brand new company, it's just going to work, right? Well, you're not established, you don't have past performance. Even though you might be a good person and you can do good work and they trust you, where's your company? My company has never done business with your company. All the paperwork, the MSAs, and all the stuff that come along with it, might have underestimated that a little bit. But I would say that the work that went into it is really tapping into your network and the relationships. And I've had a few people that have taken a chance on Tuatara because we didn't have the past performance. They bet on me and they bet on the other people that were part of the company, and they rolled the dice. They thought that we could do it, and we proved them right, and then momentum started. I won't mention the customer's name because I didn't get the permission. There's one customer down in Illinois that he rolled his dice on us, and he popped an anchor. Have another friend at a company here in Milwaukee rolled the dice because she knew who we were, what we were capable of, and I had a third friend that rolled the dice. So those three people are pretty special, and the foundation of Tuatara, those three people taking a risk on us and using their reputations to sell Tuatara, this unknown entity. That's what got the momentum going. And how did it feel? Amazing, because you're sweating bullets like, oh my gosh, I thought this was gonna be a little bit easier. I thought we'd have this one in the bag. What, these people know me, we do good work, come on. No, those three people really had to put their neck on the line for us, and it was their personal and professional reputation. And yes, was I confident? Not because of me, I was confident in the team that we had. And heck yeah, we stepped to the plate, knocked it out of the park. So everybody benefited because now you're making them look good. Hey, not a bad gamble, that paid off. These guys are all right. Let's try them out, let's give them a little bit more and a little bit more. Delighting your customers, that customer for life mentality and putting them first. It's a wonderful thing.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear stories like that. And people underestimate the power of their network sometimes too.
Yes.
I mean, and a lot of the people that I've talked to, on this show and just in business in general, they credit a lot of their success to their network, because they've spent a lot of years building that up. So it's great to hear that things are going well. What's your daily routine to set yourself up for success every day?
Temper my energy. We've got a lot of irons in the fire. We have a supply entity, we have the consultant entity. I'm out here working to get Taskforce Uplift up and off the ground. And what I like to call is I put a lot of irons in the fire in each one because I do have a lot of energy and it can be overwhelming. I understand what I'm good at, and I understand where I probably have some things that I need to work on. And part of that is making sure I don't overwhelm the different channels. So even though it seems like we've got a lot going on, it's strategically synthesized. And what I call it, every time you swing that hammer, the hammer comes back, you have that energy that you can actually put to work. And that's what I'm looking to do with each one of them. So when I get out of bed each day, I'm ready to take on each one of those 120% and then some. Are each one of those entities, the people that work at Tuatara, the vendors on the other side, the partners, are they ready? Probably not for the level of energy I'm bringing to the table. So putting a little bit in each one of those channels and creating a perpetual motion, you're ultimately moving the entire thing forward. I kind of look at it like a battlefield where you've got multiple entry points and you have your objective and you have the different units that are coming in, doing their part to accomplish the overall mission and seize the objective. Very similar to what we have with the business model. Move everything forward, don't overwhelm, be respectful, be appreciative. And at times I'm sure I still overwhelm, but this limits it because I have contextual switch. And that keeps me energized, keeps my brain moving, and allows good things to happen for the community and for the company.
That's great, man. Thanks for sharing that. Last question here.
Okay.
What impact do you want to leave in the community as your legacy?
As my legacy, what I would love to leave behind is I've traveled that path that would never put anybody down, and I've learned a lot of lessons along the way. And I believe in breaking the cycle and uplifting generational leadership. And the one legacy that I want to leave behind is I want to be able to reach into these areas that don't have the access, give them the access they need, level the playing field, and allow the human spirit and the human potential to be unlocked to go after who they're supposed to be. And that legacy is breaking the cycle. You don't, just because you're born into the world, doesn't mean you have to accept the world the way it is. The American dream is alive and well, and the human spirit, the American spirit, is alive and well. Tap into that. When there's opportunity put in front of you, go get it. If the opportunity is not looking good, have the courage to go out there and fail, make mistakes, and keep getting after it. I want to be, my legacy to be the barrier removal, so we can create a larger perspective for the younger generation. The younger generation can see things that we couldn't see, and we ultimately make them better than us. And they push the world forward. So that's the one thing that I want to leave behind. It's the kids are our future. How do we not push our bias on them, our politics, our bias, and how do we really instill freedom and unlock that potential and let them run wild, because it's an amazing thing, the human spirit. If you don't oppress it and you let it go, every population has it. Doesn't matter if it's inner city or out there in the rich suburbs, it doesn't matter. A population is a population. Equal access, equal opportunity, and making sure that everybody has the opportunity to go and get that. That's what I want to get after.
We hope you enjoyed part 2 of Steve's interview. For part 1, you can check out this video here, or for another great video just like this one, you can click here. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you in the next video.